Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Leadership Talks for Emerging Leaders. Leadership Talks is a podcast hosted by Leadership Card, a leadership coaching training organization. It's a brainchild of four individuals on a common mission to support emerging leaders to solve problems for self, others, and the organization. Leadership Card is the brainchild of Kiran, Sandhu, Ashish Datta, Ram Ramakrishnan, and Devesh Mohan. Our coaches collectively have over 100 years of experience and come from diverse fields and fields. We run leadership programs for individual contributors and corporate clients. Every week on Leadership Talks, we invite leaders from varied fields and industries to share their story and share tips and strategies which you can apply in your growth journey. I'm your friend, Kiran Sandhu, a leadership communication coach, and I'm hosting today's episode along with Devesh Mohan on the topic of entrepreneurial leadership. Over to you, Devesh.
Thank you, Kiran, and hello, everyone. And in today's episode, we have the privilege of having Mr. Deepak Mishra, who is a techpreneur by passion and as well as by profession, and founder and CEO of Prodevans, an IT services company. He is responsible for overall technological and business success of Prodevans, which have 8 offices across India, Singapore, UAE, with more than 200 employees. Deepak drives thought leadership by engaging in various industry forums regularly. He is passionate about teaching and sponsoring education for kids, graduates, and women, and helping them become independent and choose the career of their choice. Last and not the least, Deepak recently also acquired COSSINDIA, a number one Linux training company through which he and his team continuously imparts training to make youth employable in the corporate IT industry. So, welcome, Deepak, and thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Thanks, Devesh. Kiran, it's a privilege to be in your show. And Devesh, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely, our privilege to
Good
have you here
afternoon
today.
and um, good evening, good morning to all the viewers
Across
of
the
this,
globe.
across the globe. Um,
Absolutely. So thank you, Deepak, for being on the show. It's our privilege for both of us and you having on the show. So let's just start and probably let me just ask this question from you that you are an IT transformation leader, right? You have been working with various corporate clients in terms of that how you can help them to change their entire IT landscape and become more focus towards business and their growth. But if I have to look you as an individual, you have been quite transformational in your own journey as an individual. You were a leader, a corporate IT leader with various financial services organizations in the past. So what made you to leave that corporate leadership position and start dabbling in entrepreneurship?
okay, a very good question. you know, um, all these years, I think I've been talking to myself on these triggering points. Thanks for asking. What was the that moment
Yeah. Yes.
which
Compelling
everybody
event.
wait for, right? The compelling event.
Yes.
Um, by nature, I have been very passionate about technology because when I started my technology journey, it was one book which inspired to learn technology. Otherwise, I was not at all interested into computer science.
Mhm.
I'm a chemistry graduate. I should have been doing something,
Mhm.
in other part of the science. So this book, Design of Unix Operating System by James J. Batch, um, somehow I got this book because my first job was a associate professor and I was supposed to teach the topics early 2000 when when there was a big um, economic financial
Yeah. Y2K.
downfall
That was
happened,
the
Y2K.
Y2K problem. Yeah.
So the only people were getting job who knew Java,
Yeah.
and I was not a Java coder. So I was told that okay, you need to teach this Unix operating system, and I started reading this book, and this book gave me a very fundamental understanding of the operating system, and that made me very passionate. That whoever wrote this book, so James is the author. What would have transpired him to write this book, talking about design system? System design is today. I wish okay every candidate must go through. So from there till now, in my 18, 19 years of technology management roles in the bank, and I'm fortunate to be in two large banks. Uh, this principle, what I have learned, from this book is understand, then operate. So that helped um, driving some of the large transformation project. In Bank of America, I was leading the consumer banking technology infrastructure, which could be one of the largest infrastructure for any banks in the world, which includes the e-commerce, the banking center, contact center, ATMs, all that for Bank of America. And that particular role helped me to grew from a team lead, a first line manager to a vice president, and that gave me immense amount of learning how one must change, in his leadership style. Um, then I took a courageous step, took a role which is absolutely, not into the Unix or Linux. It was it was on application, and I joined ANZ to transform the application, for ANZ Bank, and I picked up another entrepreneurship within the bank that okay, I have to sell what I'm doing. So I
Hmm.
had to arrange funds for the services which I'm offering. So it was like a bootstrap within a bank. This experience helped me to learn the pre-sales, sales tactics, and delivering things. So with these two experiment and that fundamental understanding of technology from the principles of design, uh, uh, made me to take decisions, uh, experiment, making small failures, not waiting for things to change for you. Rather, make attempt to make those bring those changes to the bank. So somewhere, I gained that success that okay, if I could do it for one bank, then why not I go to an entrepreneur journey where I can transform. There are several banks, and um, being as a consumer in India, if you look at year 2017-18, um, I think each of these banks were in the process of transforming. 2018 was the time which was the digital transitioning for all the banks after the demonetization has happened.
Mhm.
So that was another triggering factor because I knew that the consumer banks in Europe or in Australia or in America and the consumer banks in India, India's largest consumer bank, maybe the world's largest consumer bank in terms of the consumers, right? But if you look at the technology which we were giving at that time, was not to the international standard. So I had opportunity in front of me that I could see that okay, each and every bank has to go through this transformation, and skill is a shortage because India is the skill hub, and if all these banks has to transform, whether it is global bank or the Indian banks, they need certain skills. So my intuitive belief or innate belief that intention of building skills for the modernizing the bank and the market opportunity which is in front of me, where the large system integrators may not fulfill what a small system integrator can do. So that thought was going on for several months, and it wasn't easy,
Good.
leaving a good paycheck, and not able to take that call. So
Mm.
Good.
so one conference
Absolutely
which
wonderful. Hmm.
which I was attending in US, and my bank was awarded, for taking that leap into this digitization of banking. And I think as a leader, uh, you at one point you must believe that okay, what should be the success for your switch or the next risk taking attitude, right? You cannot say that okay, oh, I proven here, I'll continue to prove within this system.
Mm.
Rather,
Mm.
you should say that okay, most of the sports champions, right? Okay, who take a retirement at 42 or 40s, right? They are not old. They are not taking retirement from sports, right? But they take, and probably they take another hobby or another
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, not be not being on the same field for ever, right? So that was the triggering point, Kiran and Deves, that okay, I thought I will tender my resignation so that I get the freedom to make decisions in my own
Thank you.
space.
I must say,
I will be,
Thank you so much.
I love the story. It's been so
Yeah.
exciting
yeah,
just hearing from a chemistry professor to where you are today. It,
yeah,
there are so
Yeah.
many.
and
You
and
have
So
and
shown
and this is
vision.
sorry.
correct,
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
yeah,
Please go ahead, Divish. Yeah.
and
No.
decision
Yeah.
making in large enterprises, it's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
easy. So
Yeah.
there are two
Yeah.
kind of decision making, Kiran and Davis.
Hmm.
One is you take a decision, another is you own the decision. Okay, so entrepreneurship or building your own company
You
is the
own the
only
decision.
place where you can own the decision. Okay,
Absolutely.
and
I
only
love
an
that.
entrepreneur can afford that. Okay, so
Yeah.
so that was it's not like I didn't have the decision making power there. I had, but within my ambit or the capacity boundary, right? I have to follow
Mm.
certain protocols, but here I can take a decision, I can own the decision. Okay,
Uh,
That's
so might be a long
there were
you know
so many learnings
thing
from
to
here. Divish, would you like to take a dip into it? Yeah.
no,
yeah,
definitely. So I think one of the key thing actually what culminated in terms of what my learning is that whatever your passion is, follow that, and basically you merge that with the
right,
opportunity which was existing, because you
right,
know that how the banking industry has to transform within India. And today, if we compare from rest of the other European or American technologies which they are using, they are still using older technology than us. So that's something which you picked up at a right point of time in terms of to get through that, and you know that the skill would be immense in India, and which you are anyways working on so diligently. So thank you for sharing that point, Deepak, in terms of how you matched your passion with the with the opportunities which were there in future, and combine that in terms of to take a leap, a giant leap in making sure that you can create something for your own where you can own the decision. So thank you about that. So yeah, maybe Kiran, moving on to the
Yeah.
next question.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I'm just going to say that, Deepak, for me, it was going to be, as a leader, you have to have vision to be able to see things that are not obvious to others, which you were able to do, have abilities to take risks, and, be able to just jump in. So, but this is all about your entrepreneur journey and how you did it. But I'm sure, Deepak, there were also a lot of challenges in the initial years that you had. So, would you be able to share some of your learnings from those challenges
The
in
first
your?
challenge in entrepreneurship is uh, most of the technology leaders need not be a sales leader. And
Mm,
I look up to Devesh. He comes from the sales background, and I never did sales before, except
mm,
the internal, building the intent of pursuing people that, hey, I'm building this new technology platform. You should use it, and they must be
mm,
questioning, okay, how is it different from the other vendor product? So I used to keep pursuing them that, okay, hey, you should use it, because I had that hunger to try out new things, right?
mm,
Uh,
mm,
but when you get into the entrepreneurship, I talked about take a decision and own the decision. But at the same
mm,
time, you bring accountability in entrepreneurship. You have a cash flow, situation to manage. You must adhere to the compliance, and because to service a bank, okay, you need to be extremely careful and compliant in this market, and you need to compete with your competitors. And India like market, even though India caters services to the global market, it is very competitive market. So the challenges are all in all these areas. Okay, number one, how do you make your customer believe that you are no more that erstwhile banks guy? You are on your own,
mhm,
and you
mhm.
can deliver, right?
Right.
Um,
Mm,
so, and you have not done sales, so you don't have any commercial knowledge. So, and you have to beat the competition. So, my first learning was uh, build, then go and prove, right? So, for first 2 years, um, I was personally involved in every project execution, making sure that what I preach, what I do pre-sales, I have to prove it that there is an assessment, there is an architect, there is a scale journey for every transformation. So before you market the scale, you have to prove the scale, and
mm,
that is what I say: build then prove. Okay.
mm,
So that is the technical part, and
mm,
learn from watching others, right? Okay, the mistakes what we do. I always say this, that okay, one must be aware that okay, you are expected to do mistakes,
mm,
but these mistakes should not be repeat mistakes, but you should be expected to do mistakes. That is the only difference between a manager and a leader, right?
mm,
Manager is somebody who actually not expected to do mistakes. Leader is somebody who can take risk and can do mistakes, can own the mistakes, and can learn from the mistakes. So those were the learnings in terms of sales cycle management, commercial negotiation, contract structuring, resource hiring, compliance. So learn from watching others, right? Okay, how the other company is doing, and how your competitors are doing. uh,
mm,
and I'm personally very emotional. I'm very connected. I'm a very people centric guy. For
mhm,
me, my staff is everything. um,
mm,
so I'm very emotionally connected to them, but not necessarily they are emotionally connected to me.
mm,
Uh, so,
mm,
whom you make, that person may leave. So,
mm.
with these last 4 years, what did I learn is okay, do not keep any expectations, but
Right.
stay connected with them. So
Yeah.
that's another learning in the entrepreneurship, if I may recollect.
Very well put. I enjoyed. I mean, for me, there were a lot of learnings that you just shared, but the most important one was, first is build and then prove. That means know what you are doing. You have thorough knowledge of it so that you can actually sell. And I agree with what you just said, that you may be good at your own skill, but you can't sell. So actually, that's a skill that you need to learn in order to sell the skill or the expertise that you actually have. So that's a whole ball game, that we may have content knowledge, but we don't know how to sell that content knowledge. So I think that's a whole ball game that all entrepreneurs actually should think about learning, the art of selling. It's not an easy one, but that's something.
True.
Yeah. Taking to Devesh, would you like to take the next question?
Good. Thank you, Kiran, and thank you, Deepak, for sharing those set of challenges which you have gone through. And I think one of the point which you mentioned about the difference between leader and manager, I really like that, in terms of that leader allows you to. It's a mindset where you can do mistakes, but at the same time, it's not about repeating them
Yeah, and
again,
I just
but
want to
to
add, a leader also should be a 1 minute manager.
It's very true. So that as a skill should also be there, but largely because if you do mistakes, then you know that you are there, you're trying new
And
things,
there
and
is a reason
probably.
I'm saying this. There is a reason I'm
Uh-huh,
saying this, because most of the books which I get to read, like
uh-huh,
empathy, all the leadership qualities, right?
uh-huh.
Uh, Nobody says you should shout,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So what did I built a new practices? Okay, you become 1 minute manager.
Hmm.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
uh, the rest of the time you are a leader. So
So you take time for shout for 1 minute and then back.
if I can't, then you should shut the door and shout and scream at yourself.
That's a
But
good one. That's a really
it
good
should not
one.
be beyond 1 minute.
That's a good one.
Good,
But also, it
great.
actually brings on to the same point which you had revealed earlier, which was about being the power of decision making. As a manager, you're not able to take those decisions, whereas as a leader, you own those decisions. So, which means you're also allowed to make those risks if you need to take those risks. Whereas as a manager, you're actually just you are constantly following what needs to be done, which has been probably given to you by somebody else. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
Devesh.
so good. Yeah, so I think that element of leadership and risk taking ability which you had, that has actually proven so wonderful for you and your organization, because now you are like a 200 employee organization, and potentially looking to become 1,000 people employed by 2025. And
Yeah.
during the pandemic, when there were so much of challenges which were faced by everyone, you have been growing multifold around the COVID times in and expanding in different geographies. So basically, you are walking the talk, and that's something which is helping your organization to grow. So my
Mm.
question is, Deepak, that what is that mindset should an individual have so that they can be on the growth path even in these challenging times also? So yeah, share your views.
um, from the mindset, like all of you must be knowing, the growth mindset is very, very
Powerful.
personal thing, right? Okay, means how you were groomed during your career, right? Okay, I'm very fortunate to get some of my managers in both these banks and even the technology company like Oracle I worked, right? Okay, they gave ample amount of freedom, and the kind of
Mhm.
freedom they gave me, I wish I practice this to give the same freedom here. And that made me become that open person to take those kind of risks in technology. But for an entrepreneur's side, I would say that most of the startups or entrepreneurs what I come across, right? Okay, they try to sell first, and this sell first is like, okay, I have made something, whether you like it or not, but I'm selling it. Okay, so that's I could relate this to the golden circle of why from Simon Sinek,
Mm.
right? So what does he say? What did he decode from the successful companies? Are like, see, everybody can make smartwatches, smartphones, smart apps, and all, right? But there are very few companies whom we tend to purchase, right? Because those are the brands who have built the intent of why first, right? Uh, because they know that this is going to be future coming, right? And they tapped into that segment. Whereas there are thousands of competitors who work on the what means what today I need, and I make something and give it, right?
Mm.
So so for the fellow entrepreneurs, what I would always suggest is, okay, try to be that differentiator in the market. Don't try to
Mm.
call yourself an inventor, and try to do something which others have been doing, and then make sure that, okay, you see what is coming in the future, and invest on that, but know what you're doing, rather um, you know um, uh, do what somebody is asking you to do, right?
Mm.
So that's the difference.
Good. No,
So knowing your
thank
why.
you. Yeah, thank you, Deepak. I think knowing your why becomes so important and crucial, and that's, I think you have unlocked that formula of knowing your why, which is helping you to be on that growth path. So congratulations to you for being extremely successful in last few years, and I wish that this path of growth continues for you while you grow across different continents and regions which are there. And looking forward, maybe Kiran, you would like to take the last question,
Yes,
and then we
absolutely. So,
conclude
anyway,
this.
Deepak, this conversation was so engaging. I love the fact that you started as a chemistry professor to somebody who has gone into IT after reading a book and then getting inspired and starting an entire new journey from there. So, there are so many lessons. But what would be your one message to the listeners today, that what could they do in their life to be, to grow, to take risks?
Um, I would take my chief technology officer's statement to, he built the talent for me right away. So I have an extremely technical, talented team who actually um, help me, to deliver these projects to our customer, right? And uh, that team which build the next level team are the young people, right? Um, so his mantra, which I have taken that to myself, and is that never say no to any
Mm,
tasks when you are at the beginning of your career, right? So I always, ask people to practice patience, because that 5 6 year of your um, um, you know entry to the career needs deeper understanding to the technology if you are into the technology career. And second is the customer understanding of the domain you are working, right?
mm,
So if you don't work on these two areas, you will not be able to envision or visualize the 360 degree of the technology. And not knowing 360 degree of the technology and doing what your team lead or boss is expecting you to do, it's absolutely foolish in technology. You will never know that, okay, when your technology is obsolete, you might not be knowing, right? And all of a sudden you will be jobless. So never say no to any task uh, or challenge. If you have
Mhm.
zero knowledge about it, but you can try and get something out of it. Okay. Um, and build the foundation. Like I said, the first few years I would have worked only on my foundation. So build the practical skills, because the book, it was very difficult to understand. But the moment I started, putting it into the practical, so
Mm.
build your practical skills on DevOps, low code, no code, the web technologies, microservices, Kubernetes, hyperscaler cloud. So you need to bring that practical,
Mhm.
experience. And at
Thank
Prodevans, what do
I
we
will have
do is,
to end the
yeah,
conversation. Sorry, Deepak,
mhm,
because there's so much more, and I'm sure I would like to
yeah,
invite you once again for adding more knowledge to the pool
yeah,
out there. But I would like to say that there was very valuable tips that you have given. You've shown as a leader, walk the talk, take risks, be courageous. And I want to thank all our listeners today for being part of Leadership Talks for Emerging Leaders. Leadership Talks will be back next week, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Deepak Mishra for sharing pearls of wisdom with us and our listeners. Till next week, thank you from the Leadership Card team, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
Kiran
you.
and Devesh.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.